Good. This is good. All right. So what we are going to do now is we're going to have some gentlemen come up and join us for a bit of a panel discussion about the film that we will be showing shortly, Joel Schumacher's The Lost Boys. So. So Chris, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and introduce the panel.
All right, hi everybody, thanks for coming out to do is talk about the Lost Boys. I am Chris Martinez, I'm from the Big Dumb Monsters podcast. My co-host over here on the end is Nick Wilson. Sorry, didn't mean to steal your intro. And also joining us here is our friend John McWaters. He's also done some podcasts for us. Basically, our qualifications are we've seen a lot of horror movies over the years. Every week we talk about a new monster movie on our podcast. We have not done Lost Boys yet, surprisingly. We did just do Dracula, so we're working up to it. Actually, yeah, we're going to turn the mics on. There we go. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, Peter, Dr. Monaco asked us here to come here today to talk about the pop culture influence that the Lost Boys has had all of us over the years. I'll just start kind of like, I know when we were younger, this was like the kind of go-to movie for like, if you were having like a party and having people over, maybe like in like, 7th, 8th grade above that, like this was kind of the go-to like horror movie that you watch.
No one invited me to parties in San Diego.
Well, deny.
Yeah, you were on parties.
I mean,
it was scary after.
yeah, for sure. Like, I think kind of growing up and looking at it now, it's a lot more campy than I kind of interpreted it as a kid.
Yeah, I kind of got to go back to the problem.
Yeah, I can kind of see that, yeah.
The whole Joel Schumacher style or substance,
That is the Schumacher trademark.
Yeah. It started with the vampires.
Yeah, no nipple vampire suits in this one.
Very good.
Okay.
It's this way. That's creating the atmosphere. So it's not.
Yeah, the atmosphere music. We're good. Kind of one of the other kind of major kind of things that comes out of this movie, I think, is maybe our first like meme celebrity. Maybe kind of remember anything older than this, but Sexy Sax Man.
Oh yeah.
I think almost everybody has seen like a Sexy Sax Man meme at one point.
Yeah.
And the kind of forebearer to like Scumbag Steve, like those other like kind of like meme templates you would see. Like I think Long is the latest one I've seen from Dr. Strange.
I sent that to Gizmo for the soundtrack today.
Well, that's the thing. It's a good meme because it's classic time. The song you sing is great. Really good. Like he had heard sax.
Yeah. Was he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, right.
Tim Capiello. Yeah.
Yeah, good luck, Candy.
I tried to get together an outfit like that, so I could wear it on stage today, but it was not easy to come by.
It's like Washington Day. So
Everything changed. I had everything but the purple button. Well,
This movie, I don't know, in my opinion, is kind of a forebearer, clearly, I think, to Buffy, which we just saw a little bit earlier, to things like Twilight. I don't recall kind of like a vampire movie kind of like in this vein before this. Does anybody know if there's a kind of pack type of vampire movies? Because before that, it was just basically like...
what was like a Peter Pan thing?
Well, yeah, the whole like Lost Boys concept. But I'm saying like as far as like movies with like packs of vampires, yeah, it becomes like more of a thing later. This is the same year as Near Darkness.
I was going to say Near Dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything quite like Lost Boys came out because you had, obviously the Sexy Vampire
But did you put them in a modern setting as like punk gothic?
Yeah, pretty much a lot of the vampire stuff was like the gothic romance, like the older setting. You had some, yeah, like newer stuff.
It was revolutionary.
And it answers like the age-old question of what is, what does vampire blood look like?
And it turns out it's sparkly.
It's sesame chicken sauce and glitter.
That was something I never kind of noticed until I saw it like in HD or on DVD for the first time. So it's on VHS, you don't see the detail. It's just like looks like it's just wet like vampire
Very
blood.
nice.
Yeah, and then like later on, like what? It's actually like sparkles. They're like covered in sparkles.
Yeah, they're magic.
Yeah, that was the first of the vampires.
Oh, it's so many movies about this.
Yeah, we ended up with Twilight sparkly vampires. The Lost Boys sparkly vampire blood.
What vampire doesn't have glitter?
Before it was all
Yeah.
Yeah, glitter runs in our blood. We said Near Dark came out the same year. That I think is a completely like polar opposite kind of interpretation of vampires as the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
It's a way more serious, way more horror take.
There's no fun.
Yeah, that's just straight up, it's horror, just, there's no fun. This is can't be fun movie.
Yeah, there's scenes that are kind of tough to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
Watching that 12-year-old boy like running down the street while he ignites on fire. Yeah. Yeah.
There's no levity to anything.
Yeah.
It's all very intense. Dark. Where Lost Boys you get, some of the comic relief very fun.
Oh, yeah.
The Frost Brothers is fun.
This actually, there's doing a little research on this before, and might be dipping into the trivia facts a little bit, but the original kind of pitch for this was, it was a lot lighter than even what this was. It was like 5th and 6th grade kids as like vampires, not like these, rowdy teens, plus a couple of boardwalk. It was more like a Goonies type of movie that I was reading. Which is interesting because you have an actual Goonie in the movie.
Maybe that's why they were doing the Peter Pan thing.
Yeah, and then they said tied more into that theme. One of Joel Schumacher's conditions for doing the movie was that they age up and have.
If you notice too, like right in the last scene, I don't know if anybody watched it more recently or if we just wait till tonight. In the last scene, you'll see the showdown between Jim Morrison and Dog the Bounty Hunter. Kiefer Sutherland, that's his hair, you'll see. So Dog the Bounty Hunter and Jim Morrison are having a battle, and Dog the Bounty Hunter kind of like disappears, and then you see the shadow of him, kind of like Peter Pan. He's like up there. Like,
wow, I didn't notice that, yeah.
I thought so, maybe I was just reading into it, I don't know,
It works.
but he's definitely Dog the Bounty Hunter. I think we all agree with that.
I would say, going back to the previous presentation, he's also very, it's pretty much the template, I would say, for Spike. Same like vampire, like punk, with the blonde hair and like the trench coat. It's very, very, very similar to Spike. He's ancestors. Let's see, we got Glittery Blood. What else do we have?
Well, there's one thing I noticed is that they don't actually drink blood for sustenance, it seems. Like, it's just kind of to be cool,
You're actually, I never know that they just like attack people kind of randomly.
Right, they attack people, and I don't want to give anything away, but I don't remember ever actually seeing them, like, drink, other than just a bottle once.
Yeah, they tend to drink blood out of the bottle.
Right.
Yeah, it's engagement.
But
That's the
and that's David's blood.
Yeah.
Right.
They are drinking blood, but they don't really specify if it's for nurturing or fun.
Mhm.
It's supposed to be a combination of the two. They enjoy it, and hunting themselves. So it's inconsequential if it's just a fleet hunter, because they're which is a really dark hunter.
Yeah.
Instead of the interview with vampire, like self-loathing, I'm doing this to survive kind of instinct. It's just
We're just doing this because we want to.
Yeah, interview with vampires, like on Morris's song. The 2 hours on Morris's song about vampire.
It's more like real
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sad friends.
Yeah.
Kind of, I'm trying to think of other things that might have kind of developed from this template movie. And obviously, there's Buffy, we've got Lost Boy, I'm sorry, we have Twilight, there we go, Temptation.
Okay.
And do a spin next time we get
Yeah. Do like that Bruce Almighty scheme.
Trying to think of other kind of like ancestors that would have like sprung from this movie. I kind of avoid those. Yeah, I mean, like they're kind of like stylistic vampire. I know both of us are kind of more into grittier kind of horror, so I feel like kind of like a blind spot.
I thought it was interesting that the Fangs didn't appear until like the first hour.
Yeah.
60 minutes in, like that second plot point are the Fangs. Like you didn't see anyone with Fangs up to that point.
Mm.
And then when you see them, they're the lateral incisors, you know, like every other vampire, they're on the canines.
Yeah.
The vampires are different, you know, they're different breeds.
Two sets.
Yeah.
Because of the canine
Yeah. That's a little bit of a support group.
Weren't those vampire baby teeth?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they are very young. Yeah, it could be.
Sorry, you got some of the movie facts in there.
Do that.
All right, yeah.
I do have movie facts.
Yeah. Sorry.
Introduce the second. Go ahead.
On our podcast, we like to do a segment where we kind of talk about the movie trivia. Anything we just might not have known about it, anything that might be a little interesting, might be tied into something property evidence.
Can we talk about Corey Haim's clothing in this movie?
Yes.
That was.
Oh, it's so awesome. He's wearing like a full-length trench coat with short sleeves on it, and like.
I feel like Corey Haim and Jason Patrick are very much Joel Schumacher's interpretations of teens and not actual, like, playing actual teens.
Yeah.
Did anybody notice the posters in Corey Haim's bedroom?
Rob Lowe.
Yeah, a little weird.
It's like a weird like spectrum of like complete human sexuality. There's the answer from Rob Lowe and like a half shirt leaning against the wall on like one wall. The next one is Molly Ringwald, but not like a posed like model shot of Molly Ringwald. It's like a random like movie capture, and not even like something that like you know like she would look attractive, and she's just like reading a book or like maybe like in the middle of like and it's like the weirdest picture.
Yeah.
And then the last picture, the last poster, reform school girls.
Oh, yeah. We kids always have posters in the room that no kid would ever have.
Yeah.
Except I want that Rob Lowe. I'm just going out there and say, that Rob Lowe posters. Yeah.
All right, so for our podcast, we usually do a segment called IMDb Trivia, and we're going to do that here. So basically, I scour IMDb for interesting facts, and sometimes you get gold, sometimes it does. This was Corey Haim and Corey Feldman's first film together, which marked the start of a popular 80s trend for two Corys.
Corys, yeah.
So if anybody's super old, they'll know what that's all.
So that was like an early season Simpson joke, the Corey hotline.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They filmed this movie in 3 weeks, which is lightning fast for this kind of movie.
It is very like short movie. I mean, there's not a whole lot of meat to the bones of the story. Like, you get them kind of moving there, kind of them getting acquainted with everything, and introducing the vampires. Is it Michael? I'm sorry, I can't think of the words.
Jim Morrison.
Yeah, Jim Morrison. He gets
You
turned.
forgot his name was Michael? That'll come up later.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, then they get turned, he gets turned, and then like it's pretty much a confrontation. It's very direct. It's an hour, barely an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It doesn't even really make him want to do much, though. Like, once he becomes a vampire, like, he wants to sleep late, buy a leather jacket, and he kind of, like, wants to bite his brother at one point, and then the dog bites him out of it, and then that kind
And
of...
then we go back to that part where that here that's raw, yeah.
I mean, his turning is almost like an hour growing up and puberty trying to fit in with a new crappy.
I think Teen Wolf did a better job.
Right.
Yeah.
The better monster allegory.
Wasn't quite the opposite.
Yeah.
So this a fun fact for anybody on the true crime. Santa Cruz, where Santa Carla takes place, was once plagued with the reputation of being the murder capital of the world. Because there were a series of brutal murders by 3 different disturbed men in the 70s. John Wayne Frazier, Herbert Mullen, and Ed Kemper. So there were 28 murders over the course of 30 months between 1970 and 1970.
This is a very strong possibility, like at some point during that time frame, like 2 serial killers like bumping into each other like a remote area of Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'll just go over this way a little
You're
more.
working this out all the time.
So I have a question. The youngest vampire amongst the so-called lost boys.
Latin.
The little boy in like a marching band. But like, I always had an issue with the timeline. Like, when was he turned? Because he looks like he was probably like a Civil War.
He's wearing a Sergeant Pepper jacket.
Yeah, like.
But he's on the milk carton at one point.
Yeah,
so I
Right,
think it was like a
so
recent-
he's on a milk cart,
Yeah.
he's dressed like Ringo off the cover of Sergeant Pepper's, and, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but California did play a pivotal role in the Civil War.
No, I don't think
So
they did.
how did he get there, right?
Yeah.
The Battle of La Cienega Boulevard, you don't remember that?
I think it was just a fun costume they decided to put him in, just to throw everybody off.
Yeah, I guess I was actually trying to
throw you off.
Throw me off.
Yeah.
thinking about when they would have been turned and kind of judging about, like, judging by the date before the cave, I think it would have been the 60s. Because they had like a Jim Morrison poster up, they had like a Munsters poster up.
There was a lot of monsters.
Yeah, everything was very like kind of 60s, like set.
He was Eddie Munster. They even called him Eddie Munster at one point.
Yeah.
They called him Eddie Munster. And then when Max turns at the end, I got some real Herman Munster vibes from that makeup. Let me just say, from head vampire Max.
Yeah.
Like he's the head vampire.
Funny story, true story. They initially went for Franklin to the park.
What? Did they? Wow.
I swear to Christ.
So yeah, all right, so yeah, the Munsters thing is really
Yeah,
tied to that.
the monsters were strong in this one.
Do you ever get the sense that Joel Schumacher made this film with little to no understanding of anything about vampire lore? Like, it was,
Oh, yeah.
It's just, it's a Corey vehicle, it's a...
The rules kind of changed too, and there's kind of a half explanation out of it, because when Mom invites Max over for dinner, they feed him garlic, they throw holy water on it, and nothing happens. He has a reflection. And kind of later on, he says, well, if you invite a vampire into your house, you're powerless. But they still kill the one vampire with holy water.
They didn't invite him in.
Yeah, they didn't invite him in, but I don't know. The other thing that kind of the rules kind of are shifting a little bit, David gets killed with antlers.
Yeah.
That's not wood, that's not, yeah.
Well, Dracula was originally built in Logan.
That's true.
Which is something through the heart, I think.
Yeah. There's really not a lot of consistency from scene to scene.
No.
It's whatever looked cool in each scene, I think they did that.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh, by the way, vampires, yeah, their fangs are now here. It just looks cooler on Dog the Bounty.
Yeah.
And then they sleep like bats.
Yeah, actually, like that.
Only their feet changed.
Yeah,
Those
those feet were awesome.
They were like gross out of feet.
It's like when I don't drink enough water and my foot goes like this. We must sleep upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Mike Keaton with Batman.
Yeah.
There's also a vehicle for geek culture early on, right? Because
Oh, yes.
Corey Haim's
Yeah.
character, he meets the brothers in the comic book story.
Yeah, the comic saves it.
Yeah, and it's,
Yeah.
it's ultimately it's a love story in a comic book.
Yeah.
To those of us who at the time were reading them and getting made fun of.
Right,
so-
Especially horror comics, yeah.
I wasn't allowed to read those horror comics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
See, I wasn't really superhero stuff, but I got around with the parental guidance.
You see stuff?
Every once in a while, get a PC copy.
Yeah.
Tales from the Crypt.
All horror. Yeah.
When asked why he didn't film, Joel Schumacher simply stated, vampires are hot. They're the only erotic monsters Frankenstein and hot. I'm going to politely
Speak for
disagree.
yourself, Joel Schumacher.
Yeah. Well,
Depends. Are we talking De Niro Frankenstein, or are we talking Fred Gwynn Frankenstein?
Or like the Aaron Eckhart Frankenstein, or is it Detective?
yeah. Frank doesn't have a chin, but I'm sorry.
How about Rocky Horror?
I was just going back to the comic book store, the most unrealistic thing in this movie, beyond the vampires, is that they can operate a successful comic book shop on a boardwalk.
Yeah, I was like, are they doing the budgeting and stuff? Because those parents are just constantly.
The rent has got to be through the roof.
Yeah,
You've got to sell a lot of comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just have those stone parents behind them the whole time, and we're supposed to believe that, like, oh, they're the ones who do it all.
That was during the second comic boom. The mid-80s.
Yeah, late 80s, or first, yeah, it was 87, so about 10 years where everything came crashing down.
Yeah. Like that one, ruined it shortly after. So it was fine there.
You'd also wonder if the quality of the comic book suffered from all the salt and air. They look pretty
Yeah,
rad.
the open front store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Like people dropping like malt vinegar from the fries on stuff.
And also just
Doesn't seem like it's obvious. Yeah.
Saltwater taffy stuck in the covers of everything.
Yeah, also just for being exposed to Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a toxic.
At this point, he was very toxic.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
brings me to our next IMDb fact.
Oh, awesome. That's
So yeah, Corey Feldman, who played Edgar Frog, almost wasn't in the movie. At the time, Corey struggled with drug abuse at a young age and showed up to work coming down from cocaine binge. So he was like 16 years old, binging cocaine. Director Joel Schumacher was very upset with Corey, and he kept dozing off and was unable to continue filming. So he fired him. But then Corey came back and apologized and said it never happened again. And did for this movie. So he stayed in it.
Right.
So let me get the timeline straight. So Joel Schumacher hires Corey Feldman to be in The Lost Boys. And Corey Feldman shows up to set coming down off the fender. Joel Schumacher fires him. Corey Feldman apologized. This doesn't happen in like 10 minutes. If the movie was filmed in how many
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
It was the next day.
The next day,
Yeah.
like, okay, Corey.
Yeah, we need like a Neil deGrasse Tyson explanation of that timeline. You know, like,
Yeah, I don't trust
the
the
entire 3 weeks of the filming of The Lost Boys. You know, like Corey Feldman doing drugs would be the end of January.
Although Alex Winter is the film, and so maybe there was some kind of time travel.
Yeah.
The same actor who
Some sort of
played,
excellent time travel.
same actor who played Bill S. Preston Esquire in the American classic Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Also plays like Vampire 3. Right? He doesn't have.
Yeah, I don't think he has a name. It's just the first vampire they killed. Is it really?
Marco.
Oh, all right.
Marco, yeah.
You killed Marco!
The only one that they give a name to, they don't say his name is Dwayne.
Dwayne.
I don't know, they all kind of look like diehard terrorists.
Yeah, see, Dwayne is not a very scary vampire name.
Not really.
Look out, Dwayne's right
Dwayne,
behind you.
that's like straight out of like what we do in Shadows. Dwayne the vampire.
Dwayne the Blood.
Oh, yeah.
All that fun.
So I have trouble remembering that his name is Michael,
Yes.
even though they say it 118 times in this movie.
Yeah, it's true.
Maggots, Michael. We're eating maggots.
Maggots,
Michael. Or your worms. Or your worms, Michael.
Yep, do vampires have the ability to just make your food look like nasty stuff?
It's, yeah, it's a cancer. It's prestidigitation. Yeah.
Power of illusion.
Why do vampires order Chinese food? I mean, let's start with it. Let's rewind the tape.
Oh, I got a lot about that.
Okay.
Like, how much vitamin D is in that food? Can they eat anything with vitamin D in? Because they eat food, obviously. So vitamin D comes from the sun, right? So, like, are they eating anything with butter in it? Like, doesn't that, like, in like the long term, doesn't that sunlight?
Are you saying vitamin D is how you kill vampires?
Okay.
Well, I mean,
It is sunlight.
It is sunlight, right?
That's one of the vitamins.
But vitamin D, though, too, not to go off on a tangent, that's the thing that everybody tells you to take regardless of the condition, right? Like, what's going on? Like, I twisted my ankle.
Oh, yeah.
Do you take a vitamin D?
Yeah, you're right.
You'll figure that right.
When
out.
COVID first hit, it was like, make sure you're taking vitamin D, because we don't know.
Vitamin D. I have Mentos.
Right? I'll start with toilet paper. I don't know vitamin D.
So here is a fact that would be terrible. If this was actually true. Jim Carrey is considered the role name.
Really?
Yeah, coming off of his.
Well, he just did Once Bitten at this
Yeah.
point, yeah.
Coming off of Once Bitten, you're right. Another vampire. Yeah.
Schumacher, yeah, he used him in that other.
He could have the Riddler.
Oh, that too. I was gonna say that kind of bad cereal. 23.
Oh, yeah, I didn't realize that was Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the bad ones.
It's lesser.
He's got good ones, he's got bad ones, he's got really good. It's falling down.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way you move.
So even though Star is half vampire, you never see her in her vampire
That's right, no.
at all. She's the only one of them.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just to keep you on her side.
Yeah, to keep her sympathetic, maybe.
I think it's the vampires in the trailer.
You just do it without a transform.
So as we sort of slide toward the end of this prestigious event,
Yeah.
what words of how are you going to get these people? Who has not seen this classic of American cinema? Okay,
Oh,
so
wow.
what?
Sorry, we just spoiled the West stuff.
And then in the end, you're like, so, what would you tell an audience? How would you introduce? How would you get an audience excited about this? I mean, for me, for example, like I remember being like 12, and it was a snapshot in time, and
Yeah, very much. Like, it's very much of its time.
like picture this, right? If you had cable, you had one channel that showed movies, and that was HBO. And then if you grew up relatively working class like I did, you didn't have money for summer camp. So on HBO, they'd show The Lost Boys every morning.
Yeah.
Summer of '86. So like
Low-key flex that you had HBO money but not summer camp money.
I didn't tell you
HBO money, man.
we knew a guy. That's the
50
you
bucks,
can't,
no
you
questions
can't know a
asked.
guy who went up to summer camp, right?
Yeah.
That's just summer camp stowaway, right? But yeah, what would how would you sort of frame it briefly?
I would say this is a very fun introduction to vampire movies. If you haven't seen anything like it before, if you're not a fan of horror movies, I think this would be a good place to start. It's not kind of graphic and gory as your typical horror fare. It's got it, but it's not relentless.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's campy.
It's actually scary in parts.
Great soundtrack.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and you've got sexy Saxon, and that's all you need in a movie.
Well, the theme song, they use it at the opening, like the theme song used it 3 times in the movie. Yeah,
I spent the last 3 days walking around. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like at the beginning, it's at the end, it's in like the
Any kind of dramatic scene. Yeah.
It's just they keep using it.
Yeah, and you have to put some on Marilyn Manson.
Did he cover?
Poorly, but who did?
Yeah.
But that was my framing, and if you guys want to.
No, that's pretty spot on. Like it's a super fun vampire. Like every once in a while you want that dramatic vampire. Introduce the vampire, very dramatic. Not a whole lot of it. Also not very fun.
Yeah.
This has got that cool kid 80s vibe to it.
See, yeah, that's what I would. Yeah, because in the '80s, right, you had to have mass appeal. So you had to have the Coreys, who got the sort of who like young men could say like that could be me, kind of like the Goonies, right? I could be on this adventure, right? If you were one of the Coreys.
Yeah.
You had, and then the Coreys also spoke to the burgeoning young women, the sort of 10 to 14-year-old girl, right? Like, oh my God, the Coreys, right? But then you also had his brother Michael, who where like your mom would be like, he's an attractive young man, right? And keep yourself.
That's the Lost Boys.
Right? That's supposed to be the Lost Boys, right? So try to touch on every, right? Like
You've got the Frog Brothers, like you said, who are great, like if you're
It really does.
like it literally,
It really does touch on a lot of different
yeah, in 3 weeks, Joel Schumacher just tried to put every '80s trope in a blender. Just like
With vampires.
with vampires.
Kid moves to a new town.
Yeah.
New karate
Kid in
kid,
town.
Kid moves to a new town. Lots of ways.
Walks into Cobra Kai,
Yeah.
changes his mind.
No retreat, no surrender.
Well, I want to thank all 3 of you for coming here today.
Yeah.
There is some swag on the back table.
Stickers, 3D
Stickers,
glasses,
3D glasses,
Yeah.
a transcript of the evening will be made
If
available.
you're not tired of listening to us drone on, check us out, the Big Dumb Monsters podcast. We're on pretty much all your favorite podcast platforms.
Thanks a lot.